Hi, this is Lady Lex UK, and this is a new series for my channel. This is tools. We've already gone through the gadgets. Now we're going to go through the tool set. So we're starting off with our major tool set, which is this one here. This is the spanner or wrench, and crossed with a ruler. So we click on that and we get all these options. Now you can see the first two options are grayed out. This is undo and redo. Now the chances are you are not going to ever use these two gadgets in this position up here, because there is a shortcut on the DS4 and that is the one that you're probably going to use. But let's just have a look at it. We're going in modes, sculpt mode. I'm going to stamp this down with a few cubes like this. Okay, there's my object. Go into tools, and I can undo, so it'll undo some of these cubes I put down, and I can redo if I change my mind. I want to put them back in, but you are almost certainly going to do this instead. You're going to press left on the D-pad to undo and right on the D-pad to redo. Left to undo, right to redo. You're not going to touch these. You're not going to look at those. You're not going to pull up the tool set in order to do undo and redo. So I think we can safely ignore those. The next one along is move. So when you've got a sculpt and you are in assembly mode, this is quite important. If you're in assembly mode, you put the move tool on. You can grab your object, your sculpt, anywhere you like with the R2 button and move it. And you can travel with the left stick. And you can rotate with the right stick the whole scene. If you hold on L2, you can rotate with the left and right sticks to any angle that you want, just by holding down L2 and R2. In fact, you can let go of R2. Once you've got L2 grabbed, you can let go of the R2. You don't need that on. And then, there we go. You can move around like so, let go. And then you can move again just with the R2 button. L2. There we are. Simple. Done. That's what the move tool does. It allows you to move around. If, however, you are in sculpt mode, you'll notice you don't have access to that move tool. And to move things now, you are grabbing and moving individual sculpt pieces. But don't forget, this is not dismantling this sculpt. This is just spreading these around. So if I come back out in assembly mode and I pick it up, it's still one object. Even though you've pulled it apart, it's now still one object, and you just move it around the same. So that's the move tool. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. The more you practice with these tools, the better you'll get. So when you first pick up Dreams, moving this imp around is strange. You'll probably find it disorientating to start with, and you'll feel like it keeps going off in all directions. And then you get this situation where you're moving your arms around. You just need to practice, and you'll get much finer control the more you practice. I would say within 3 days you should be a little bit more comfortable with it. Within a week of constant practice, you should be in full control of your imp. You just got to be a bit patient with it. Right, so that's moving things around. Let's have a look at the next tool, and that is stretch. So we got our object here. Let's say I want to stretch these cubes. So you might think, okay, I'll choose stretch. I've got a stretch tool here. How do I use it? And you're trying R2. That's not doing anything. You try L2. That's not doing anything. Nothing seems to be happening. And you think, well, that stretch tool doesn't do anything. Right. The stretch tool is meant to do something very specific. And that is, it will stretch connected objects. These aren't connected objects. These are sculpted together objects, which is different. So let's get rid of it. And the best way to show you connected objects is to show you the mannequin, the puppet. So let's put that down. Here is our puppet. We'll turn on X-ray and connectors. And then we can see all the lovely connectors inside our puppet. This is the rigging for our puppet. And as you can see, there are different types of connectors. There are bolts and there are ball joints, and they're all over this puppet. Now, this is what happens when you try to use the stretch tool. I choose the stretch tool. I'm going to scope in to my puppet, and I'm going to choose this left arm. I'm going to go R2. And I'm going to pull it out, and as you can see, it is stretching not the part that I've actually grabbed, but the chest part. Is stretching that part. So what's going on? When you look at the connectors, you'll see there's a blue end and a yellow end. When you use the stretch tool, whatever you're grabbing, whatever the blue end is attached to whatever the yellow end is. So this is what you're grabbing, and this is what you're changing. The yellow end is the part that you're changing. So if I grab this, which is the blue, and we go through the pink, yellow is going to change this. So we go to the lower arm, we've got the blue, go through the pink to the yellow. So if I grab this part, it's going to move, it's going to stretch this part. So let's try that. Go to stretch, and I'm going to stretch this, and as you can see, it's elongating that top arm. The yellow part is stretching that. Okay, let's go down to the hand. Here's the blue part, there's the yellow part, so it's going to stretch this. And because this one is also connected to this one, it's actually stretching both of them. So what if you wanted to stretch the hand? Because we've got no yellow part on here. There is no yellow connector on the hand. So what we do is we can take Sculpt Mode, and we just put in a little cube. And then we go into connectors and take a bolt. And we want the yellow one on the part we want to change, and the blue one on the part we're going to stretch. And it doesn't really matter where you put it. Then we go into stretch tool, and then we stretch. And as you can see, it's elongating not just the hand, but also this part, because this is also connected up. So let's put in another cube. Another connector. So yellow part, what we want to stretch. Blue part, what we're going to grab. And then we go into the stretch tool, and now I can just elongate the hand. There we go. I'm stretching just the hand part now. And then you just delete the parts you don't want anymore, and there we go. Right, let's just undo that. Let's say we only wanted to stretch this part of the arm and not both these two. So at the moment we're stretching both of them. We don't want to stretch both of them. So again, let's pop a cube in and pop in a joint. So yellow's the part we want to stretch, blue's the part we want to pull. Let's just try that and see what that does. That's pulling both of them. Again, we're going to need another cube. Yellow, blue, stretch, and then there we go. So now we're stretching just that bottom arm. There we go. And then we just delete them and they're gone, and now we've got nice long arms just at the bottom there. The same goes for the head. So we've got the hands and that front part of that foot. If you want to give them clown feet, you're going to have to connect up 2 cubes and then stretch them, and then that will stretch those legs out. Right, now we're going to have a look and see how we can stretch a sculpt. So let's make a sculpt. I'm gonna make a cube with a couple of spheres on it, like so. So here's our sculpt. So then I'm going to put in another cube. Make sure this is a new sculpture. They're not connected. Good. And then a bolt. So yellow to blue. And then I'm going to go into stretch, and it won't let me stretch. It won't let me stretch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that cube, and I'm going to put in another connector. And now we're going to try again. Stretch. We can now stretch the middle one. Okay, so we're now going to make this one a middle one. So let's put another cube in. And we're going to put that like that. So this is now a middle one. So if I was to stretch this now, it will stretch that object. There we go. You notice it is stretching both sides. Both those spheres are being stretched. The whole thing is being stretched. Like so. So it's a little bit weird, but let me show you the real weirdness. Okay, if I was then to delete, oops, not the background. If I was to delete the cube, oh goodness me, the cube and that connector, and then stretch, it's fine. And that connector and that cube. So we're back to the original cube and a stretch cube. It works. But look, it's only stretching from one side. So you can get different effects. You just need to play about with it, connect things to it different ways, and you get different stretch effects. So stretching from one end only, stretching from both sides, depending on how many cubes you've got connected up. But I did notice something very strange while I was practicing this, and if I were, it might do it, I don't know. So yellow to blue, no problem. I was trying it earlier and it was swapping these around. So now I can stretch this side and this side. So now I've got two cubes that are stretching our object. But you can't do it first off. It won't let you do these things. You do it first time, it just, nothing will move. You have to start putting in other cubes and then delete them, and then you get this option. Now, you don't get an option, however, I don't believe, let's try it, to stretch it in all axes. Let's see, now that's gone purple. You've got two blue ends and it's gone purple. I don't know what that means. Yeah. It's not working. You're getting a weird connector. It does not like, you can't stretch things. You can stretch things along its ends, but not widthwise. And you notice it's moving all of it along. It's very odd. So, as a tool, like I say, it's very, very useful for the rigged puppets, for elongating parts of the body, and that is mostly what you're going to use it for. You can use it for stretching your sculpts, and you might get some really interesting effects doing that, and it's worth experimenting, but it's not something that you're going to do regularly as part of sculpting. It might be something that you want to play around with, and you might find something interesting, but it's not really a tool for manipulating your sculpts. So you might be thinking, well, how do I stretch a sculpt? If I've got a cube like this and I've realised, I want it to be a bit more rectangular than that, you go into Sculpt Mode and the tools in there, and there is another stretch tool. And if I scope in, it gives me access to all the axes of my cube, and I can stretch it out like this. It's obviously going to affect the thermo of that object. There we go. You can see that's making a huge difference to the thermo of my object. But let me get down to 1. There we go. That's how you can stretch a sculpt once it's down. But it's only its individual parts. It's only its individual, these pieces, not the whole sculpt in itself. Like I showed you, you can stretch it using connectors, but it's not an exact science, and you don't have access to stretching on all the accesses, unless, of course, you know different. There's always ways around these things. I've only really experimented with this a little bit, so what I found out is that it will stretch the ends but not the width. There might be people out there who know how to stretch the width, and maybe they can let us know in the comments. But that's the experiment I have done, and that's what I can see it doing. So there we go. There was move and stretch. I hope you learnt something interesting there that you might not have known before. Next time we're going to go through the clone tool. So see you next week. Thanks for watching. Catch you in your dreams.